So, it happened. Just as everyone expected, Donald Trump has addressed the nation. But his message wasn't just for Americans. Oh no, this was for the entire world. And the key takeaway? Well, this conflict with Iran, it isn't ending anytime soon. So today, we're going to break down Trump's speech and what it all means for a world that's already on the edge.
And this was the line from the entire speech that just stopped everyone in their tracks. We will grind Iran to dust, send them to the Stone Age. I mean, wow. That isn't just a threat, it's a declaration of intent, and it has sent absolute shockwaves across the globe.
So you have to ask, right? What does a threat like that actually mean in the 21st century? And maybe even more importantly, how on earth did Trump justify taking things this far? Let's get into it and break down his case piece by piece. Okay, first up, Trump's case for war. Let's take a look at how he actually framed all of this for the American people and for the rest of us.
All right, let's dive into this. So Trump laid out what he called a series of major successes. He started by saying they foiled Iran's nuclear ambitions. Then he framed it in this very classic us versus them kind of way. Our enemies are losing, America is winning. His whole argument really was that after years and years of just talk, it was finally time for action. And he was the one delivering it.
Now, this is where it gets really, really interesting. To make his point, Trump actually compared this conflict to America's past wars by pointing out that the U.S. fought in World War I for over a year and a half and Vietnam for almost 20 years. He basically framed this 32-day conflict as something, well, minimal. It's a pretty clever rhetorical move, really, designed to make the current situation seem a lot less severe. And that brings us right back to that Stone Age threat. What did he really mean by it? Was it just some over-the-top language, or was this a calculated part of his military strategy? So, the Stone Age. Let's just be clear what we're talking about here. This is the earliest period of human history. We're talking stone tools, no electricity, no internet, no modern infrastructure at all. So to send a country back to the Stone Age, that means the total annihilation of its modern existence, literally bombing it back into a pre-industrial state. And here's the most crucial part. This wasn't just some empty threat. The speech sent a very strong signal that for the next 2 to 3 weeks, the attacks on Iran are actually going to get worse. They're going to intensify. That's the timeline the entire world is now bracing for. The impact of Trump's speech was, well, it was immediate. Within just a few hours, a shockwave was felt right across the globe, especially in the financial markets. Global markets pretty much stumbled instantly. India's BSE Sensex dropped 412 points, and the Nifty 50 fell by 118. This was a really clear signal of just how anxious the market is about a long, escalating war. And as it always does in these situations, oil prices just shot up. The threat of major disruption in the Strait of Hormuz, which is so critical, sent prices soaring. And you can bet that's going to have ripple effects for the entire global economy. This part really shows you how much this was anticipated. I mean, get this. Even before the speech even happened, world leaders in the UK, Australia, the EU, and India were already holding emergency meetings. They knew something big was coming. All right, so now for the final piece of the puzzle, the backlash. Because Trump's strategy is facing some heavy criticism from all over, and honestly, the future is looking dangerously uncertain. This slide really puts it all into perspective, showing the gap between Trump's promises and what's actually happening, at least according to his critics. So he promised to free the Strait of Hormuz, but Iran's control has actually gotten stronger. He talked about regime change through diplomacy, but what we have is a full-blown military conflict. And he claimed no easy targets, but now we're hearing reports of new attacks on missile bases. The reaction on social media was just scathing. This one comment in particular just went viral. When a clown gets into a palace, the palace becomes a circus. It really seems to capture how a lot of people around the world are feeling, that his leadership is just chaotic and destabilizing. And it's not just social media. The very influential magazine, The Economist, they label it a war without strategy. Their whole analysis argues that America's mistakes are creating this huge power vacuum, and that the ultimate winner in all of this chaos is going to be China, who is just sitting back and watching it all unfold. And so at the end of all this, we're left with this one pretty haunting question. In this incredibly destructive conflict, who is really being sent back to the Stone Age? Is it just Iran? Or, just maybe, is it the entire world?